Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Vijayamini Namaste Saraswati Vijayamini Namaste Saraswati Vijayamini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangam Nangate Yatkrupa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarine Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So today we will see verse number 5 of chapter 6. Uddharet Atma Uddharet Atmanatmanam
Uddharetatmanam
Natmanam Avasadayet Atmeva hi Atmano Bandhur Atmeva Ripur Atmana Uddharet Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmeva hi Atmano Bandhur Atmeva Ripur Atmana. Please chant.
Uttaret atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayat atmaiva hi atmano bandhu atmaiva ripratmanah.
Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripur atmanah.
Okay, thank you. So, translation and part. But one must deliver himself with the help of his mind, not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Purport. The word Atma denotes body, mind, and soul depending on different circumstances. In yoga system, the mind and the conditioned soul are specially important. Since the mind is the central point of yoga practice, Atma refers here to the mind. The purpose of yoga system is to control the mind and to draw it away from attachment to sense objects. It is stressed here in that mind must be trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mere of nescience. In material existence, one is subjected to influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in material world because the mind is involved with false ego, which desires to lord it over material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature, and in this way, the conditioned soul may be saved. One should not degrade oneself by attraction to sense objects. The more one is attracted by the sense object, the more one becomes entangled in material existence. The best way to disentangle oneself is always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. The word he is used for emphasizing this point, and that one must do this. It is also said, Mana eva manushyana karanam bandha mokshaya bandhaya vishaya sango muktai nirvishayam mana. For man, mind is the cause of bondage and mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense object is the cause of bondage and mind detached from the sense object is the cause of liberation. Amrut Bindu Upanishad 2. Therefore, the mind is always engaged. Therefore, the mind which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the cause of supreme liberation. So this is very famous verse. The word Atma is used 7 times in this verse. So yesterday we saw Day before yesterday we saw Ruruksha and Yoga Rud. Yoga Ruruksha and Yoga Rud. So for Yoga Rud, what is the qualification? He is not enjoying the senses. He is not planning to enjoy the senses, and he is away from the desires which take him to enjoy the senses. So these 3 points we said. So what is the difference between um, the beginner and the advanced? For the beginner, Krishna has told uh, Kam or Kama Yoga, Karma Yoga is the um, way, and for Yoga Rud, he can detach from the karma. So Aru Ruksha and Yoga Rud. So what is the difference between Aru Ruksha and Yoga Rud is explained here. So Aru Ruksha person who is in the beginning of the yoga, for whom he has to do Karma Yoga, the difference is the mind and the senses. So he has to control his mind and through mind the senses to reach to yoga rud stage. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. These 4 stages, there are rules. What to do, what you cannot do, what should be done when you sit for yoga, and then pranayam to focus on the breathing exercises so that inside so that your focus or your mind is not directed to external but to internal. So all these 4 stages for the beginner, and all this is to control the mind. So uh, ashtanga yoga, or for that case any yoga practice, the main purpose is to control the mind, and mind needs engagement. So when we see there are people who are doing say meditation, they always have some object. Some yogis, they do meditation by placing one candle or some flower or some plant or om. They keep something and then they meditate by focusing the mind on that one point, and putting all the concentration, all the consciousness into that one point, say candle, while looking at it, and taking everything, all the consciousness to that can looking at the candle, so that the purpose of that is the mind needs engagement, because it's very difficult. If there is no object, then the mind will keep working, and it always keeps working. So but when the mind is working and it's not engaged in any object, then it will drive away our consciousness. So here Krishna is telling that see, mind can be your friend or ripu, your shatru also, your enemy. So for a person whose mind is a friend, the mind will deliver himself from this bondage. And if the mind is not friend, his enemy, ripu, his enemy, then the mind will degrade himself. So the mind has capacity, or mind is the media which can be used to deliver or engage, entangle ourselves. And how to use the mind, that is also possible. We can use the mind, we can engage the mind. If we engage the mind properly, it can be our friend. But if we cannot engage the mind will engage us. And when the mind engages us, then it is our enemy. Right? So the more the mind drives us to the sense objects, to the enjoyments, to the different things, the more we become bewildered, And in that bewildered situation, we cannot use our intelligence properly. And when we cannot use our intelligence, and then we go with the mind. The mind takes us anywhere it wants. That's very difficult situation, and that is what the person who is in the beginning stage is in that situation, because his mind is not controlled. He cannot renounce the work. That's why Krishna says for that Aruruksha person, he should do the karma yoga. So he should work and he should try to detach himself from the results of the work. And by this, his mind will get purified of the desires. And then he can slowly progress on the um, progressive path, not degrade. So, Krishna is explaining what is the difference and what needs to be controlled. So, now Krishna has given here the main hint that if you can make mind your friend, then there is a possibility of you to elevate yourself. And we can observe this by our own life. We can, if we observe our own one day, forget one day, it's very difficult. Even if 1 hour, how much mind is driving us, where it is driving us, what thoughts are coming to the mind, how many desires are coming to the mind, and when the desire comes, how we are reacting to that desire. Are we following what mind says or what the desire comes, or we are judging it by the intelligence? What is good, what is bad, what is good for my spiritual progress? Are we exactly doing that or not? We can observe that and then we can know our status. So, the best way to overcome this hard work, right, just observing the mind and all these things, is to engage the mind in some higher things from this enjoyment. So Krishna says, engage your mind thinking of me. Think of me, do my service. By that, when you are doing the service, the mind gets engaged in the activity. And when the mind is engaged in the activity, it will not go in other places. And if you are engaged in the activities of which increase your consciousness, spiritual consciousness towards the self realization, then the mind will be positive, it will be your friend, because then you can find more and more things that we can do to engage ourselves, and the mind gets trained to get away from the own desires but work for the higher self. So that's why we have to engage the mind. And that's why Srila Prabhupada always says that there are so many temples he built all over the world, so that the devotees can go to temple, associate with the devotees, uh, do some service there, work for the temple, clean the temple, cook, cut the vegetables, decorate, cleaning. So many services are there. So when we do this type of services, then we get engaged. So we have one temple in India, in other places there are so many temples. So anyone can go to temple and engage itself. So that once we engage our body, our hands, our eyes, our legs, then automatically mind gets engaged there. Still the mind tries to drive away us away from all these things, but at least if we physically go there, becomes easy. So when when we can actually focus our mind on Krishna, then even if you are in temple or you are not in temple, you can do that at any place. By just focusing the mind, you can be with Krishna. We can be with the activities of Krishna. So in that way, the mind becomes our friend. And then when the mind becomes friend, then the things become very easy, because then mind works as we desire. We means the intelligence desires. Mm. Then the things get easy and then we progress fast. So how this can be done? Right? Because mind is not so easy that Arjuna will get to that point. But Krishna has just now started explanation about mind and how to make mind our friend. That also Krishna will tell in the next verses. So that we will keep studying in this chapter, which is very useful for our sadhana and our good consciousness. Thank you very much. So, any points, any discussion, any question? So, it's very interesting. This, the more we discuss this chapter, more it helps to change our attitude and consciousness. Okay, Hare Krishna. So let's see tomorrow how to engage mind. Hey Krishna, thank you very much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you.